Hello, wonderful traders. Dada's here, Dada's trading room, and Dada's trading system. Welcome to another daily recap. What happened today? Actually, a lot of things happened today on the DAX index. The market was pretty volatile. It made a lot of tips again. Uh, but not only did it make a lot of daily range, it also was very volatile in the sense that it was going up and down. As you can see, basically on the Asian session, it continued the movement down with some consolidation at the beginning of the new day, and then it went down, and just before the Frankfurt opening it started going up, and then it went up again, and here we can see a head and shoulders. So we have a shoulder, head, and a shoulder formation. Basically this head and shoulder formation, well it sort of it realized itself near the American session, the USA session, and then the market plunged down again, pretty violently plunged down, and then it came back up again, right, and started like at least a movement, or at least a correction towards the Dada's daily pivot, right? But it didn't reach there, and then ultimately it started plunging down again, made a consolidation, and again made a big plunge even lower. So you see that the volatility here was pretty strong, and if we look at what happened on the M5, it was even more wild because you can see that there were like sudden M5 movements in the opposite direction, and then back down with making a new low. Nothing special here, but here again, a slow movement down and a sudden spike up, right? A sudden movement up, but again rejected, and found and resisted, right? It found resistance and plunged down, and another one, right? Here another one, and here another one, and here an even stronger one. This one was pretty wild, yeah. But they moved back and again made something like a shoulder, head, shoulder formation. Broken down, continued down, and then again they recovered, very quickly recovered, right? The market very quickly recovered and started pushing up, and this push was very strong. This push was very strong, and then a retest, or you could say a Fibonacci retracement, right? and, and then even higher was a new high. So basically, we, but again, there are strong kind of rejections in the bearish direction, and finally it started plunging down. Again, it consolidated. So you see, plotting something like if somebody plotted themselves a trend line like this, they would have they could have had the impression that there's some kind of a channel traded, and then that the market is going to go back up. But like the market actually doesn't care about any trend lines or anything. It can always do the same. It can respect a trend line as either support or resistance, or just go sideways for a while, right? So that's what the market can always do, and we can see that market then plunged down, and now the market has stopped for a while, for half an hour, at least at my brokers. Then it's gonna go on for half an hour, and then gonna stop for an hour, and then it's gonna start over again. Anyways, what did I do? Well, I traded a couple of trades today. Mm, the first trade that I traded was not there. Where was the first trade? Yeah, the first trade was up there. I made the standard measurement like this and like this, right? So this is the standard measurement I do. And I found a situation right there. I entered the trade, a short trade, and I got here. I got my automatic trail stop right on the third candle. Well, we can't see that right now, but we can see it here on the picture. This is the first trade, so the first trade was here, it was today. Yeah, so this is it right there. Those are those lines are that measurement that I made, right, on the M5. And here I got a signal. I went off of this signal. The price came back a little bit here. It gave me an opportunity to get in from my expert advisor, and then the standard, one break candle, second, third, the price got, the stop loss got trailed, and on the return here, it got taken out. Yeah, and that was my standard trade. Yeah, standard trade that the way I trade. You know, basically, this was a perfect entry, short entry, and somebody could say, okay, so if somebody could say post factum, right? Post fact. Somebody could say, well, if you held out the trade, you would have made a lot of money. Sure, whoa, well, yeah, but tell me, who is who actually knows that the market will continue down and not bounce off this support here and go up? Who knew at that very moment? Tell me somebody who knew. Nobody knew, and nobody can ever know that, and you don't know that. And if you're telling me that you know that, you're bullshitting, because we had an upwards trend right there, an upwards bullish trend, and we were on the bullish side of the day at that moment. Not yet here, but here, because this is the pivot right there. This is the Dada's daily pivot, and yeah, we were on the bullish side, and everything looked pretty bullish right there. So basically, we never know if this is just a correction or if this is a main trend, right? Well, the price showed what it showed, right? And then I didn't. I wasn't trading. I had something else to do and whatever. I was watching the market. I was streaming this live. I was doing my measurements and showing everybody how we could trade it, and looking through the situations when I was there. But then I made a very stupid, very 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 dumb and stupid thing. I actually, you see, I entered a short right there. Yeah, I entered a short right there. Now I have that situation here on the screens. The first thing, it was like this. So I made my measurements, and I had a signal, even two signals here. I entered on the signal, and you see the market went back, but my stop loss was there. The stop loss was safe. The market bounced back up, and then it made the movement. It made the movement. I should have made money on this movement because I have one candle breakout, another a second candle breakout, third candle breakout, and this is where my and there's enough room because we still have another candle. This is where my expert should have triggered the the trading stop, but it didn't, and I don't exactly know why. There is nothing in the logs. Seems like it didn't even react. So it didn't do anything. And the market turned around and then went very quickly went up and it took up my stop loss. And I was kind of angry because my expert should have done its job and it didn't. So I basically reacted on the situation in this kind of way that I saw this trend line here, because the market went up, went down, and then broke the trend filter here and broke it down again. So I entered short quickly without looking at any M5 or M15. So I didn't exactly know where I was, and I entered at 2 lots, and you see what the market did. It just it made this made this wild move back there, and I was I was fixed on making profit, so I didn't put the stop loss there. I canceled the stop loss. And look, it was a very stupid thing because I really didn't have any information, and I didn't know if the market would come back or not. Right? It was very probable that the market wouldn't come back and it would continue in the other direction, and the loss was relatively to all my previous gains. The loss was too big, so I was pretty much happy that the market came back down and gave me an opportunity to close the trade at profit. Actually, at profit. So yeah, well, not to mention that after it gave me an opportunity. I got out at profit, but it went up again, and right here it went up again, and again nobody knew if it would go up or down, even though I did put my initial take profit right there, and it actually the market actually reached that price. Yeah, I didn't believe it, but yeah. And you see what happened right there. So it took the market 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a whole hour and another 30 minutes, and then it started. Before it broke my closing price right here, right? Because it actually, well, it broke the closing price of this candle and then continued down, right? So this situation, like 1.5 hours, it would have been more stress for me on waiting and not knowing what will happen, right? And you see what happened later. I mean, the market returned back. It returned back, and it returned back pretty violently, pretty quickly, right? And retraced and then again went up. So I took another trade right there because I did my measurements like this and like this. uh, I made my measurements, and I figured out I would be going off of those measurements, and found myself an opportunity right there. And this opportunity again, it was a very good one. My expert advisor triggered, and that trade is shown right here. See, the expert advisor, it gave me a signal right here. on a break, yeah, because there was the break of this line was right there, so there was a signal on the break, and those two signals I managed to enter, and so one candle, second, third, there was enough room, break even, stop. Yep. So I got my trade, and everything worked out, right? And everything worked out. So basically, this was the situation right there. So this is, you see the measurement right here, and you see the trade right there. And before that I was measuring for a short, but I didn't find the right situation and didn't take the short. I also was trying to analyze this stupid trade right here again. So I plotted myself with the timeline so that I could see where the M15 started that I was looking for the trade, and I didn't do anything wrong right here. I was absolutely validated to take a short right there. And I should have had a profit on this trade. Something happened, I don't know what, whether it was the broker's fault or it was my expert's fault, or both, I don't know. Basically, I did start investigating today, and I started researching for what sort of happened, and I maybe found an answer. There is something like it's called the broker latency. So in other words, one thing is the internet connection, right? We might have a poor internet connection and a long ping, right? So if we have a long ping, then that's a problem. But I've also learned that there's something like a session on on your broker's server. So in other words, uh, even though we are connected to the broker server, we're not always in session. So in other words, if for 30 seconds nothing happens, we're not opening a trade or closing a trade, then the broker session ends, and it takes two more steps, because then we every time we send an order, or you want to close an order, our position, then we have this latency, because we are our account is sort of being logged in again to a new session with the brokers, and that takes well, the minimum takes 500 milliseconds, but it depends on the broker. With some brokers, it can even take up to 2 seconds. Sorry, it can take up to 2 seconds. So in this market, a two seconds latency, that's like you can find yourself in deep shit with that. So that's yeah. So basically, I was trying to investigate if this could have been a situation like that, where the market was simply so quick that nothing, no order was able to get through from my expert advisor to my broker, and if nothing, and then even if my expert advisor was actually doing something, and the broker's server didn't receive that order, right? Let's call it generally. Then I did we there was even no feedback, that because no error came back, right? Or no confirmation, or and no error came back from the broker server. Thus, there's nothing in the logs about it. and I actually see nothing in the logs. I only see the transaction open, and I don't see anything else. So basically, well, I think I found the solution. I need to test the solution a little bit. I mean, this solution could be, I mean, if used improperly, this solution could be dangerous because, well, most brokers won't like it because it will be, you know, it will be clogging the server with too many orders. So yeah, we have to be careful about it. But I think I found a solution. I just need to test if it's working properly, so that so that I would use this refresh mechanism, session refresh or keep live. Yes, session keep live. Use it wisely so that everybody is going to be satisfied. Myself and the broker. Okay, so yeah, and there's another. That's this little trade right there because I made this little trade there. There was zero point 0.1 lot where I was simply trying to test if this uh, if this script is working at all, and it seems to be working. But again, I trailed my stop manually there. That's why I got. Basically, the conditions were the same as I would have been trading with my expert advisor, only that I did it manually. I think I posted, yeah, I posted this trade right there on the Polish channel. I'm gonna repost it on the English channel as well. Okay, so you can see the trade right there. Again, there was a signal. My measurements. The price was breaking out. Well, basically it wasn't. It didn't break out yet, but I mean, yeah, sort of. I thought it was probably the last opportunity to catch that trade. Trade. So there was a signal. I got in it. I put my stop loss where it's supposed to be. Then it went up. I trailed. The stop loss is somewhere behind this letter 8 right there. This number 8. So I trailed, and then the market took it out. Yeah. So that's it. Now I want to tell you about something I also posted. Today I posted an announcement in English also. Now the announcement says that commencing today, all updates of indicators and other Dada's trading system tools are available on the Dada's Trading Room Discord server in dedicated channels exclusively to my patrons at minimum 17 US dollars tier on patreon.com Dada's Trading System Workshop. Patrons also get access to my special publications and can order topics for me to discuss. So in other words, there is a special patrons only channel which is available only to patrons and nobody else. And there patrons can order topics for me to discuss and to make videos about, right? And I will do that. And also, patrons can also order free of any extra charge simple indicators for me to code in MQL4 for them. So if anybody is a Patreon and wants me to code for them some simple indicator, or maybe even a very simple expert advisor, I will do it for the patrons free of charge. Of course, if it's going to be something more complex, more complicated, well then of course it has to be charged the standard way. Otherwise, I've created this special room for for my patrons to receive all kinds of bonuses, like indicator updates, or my new ideas that I've come up with, and modifications of those indicators, and maybe even expert advisors. So yeah, that's why I encourage everybody to become my Patreon. Well, it's only $17 per month, so I don't think it's a big burden for anybody. So yeah, also I encourage you to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please join my Discord server. Even if you're not a Patreon, not a patron, you can still join my Discord server. You can still watch me trade live, because I'm usually streaming. Well, at least 8 hours or more, sometimes even 12 hours, yeah, or about 10 to 12 hours of live streaming. So basically, you can see all my trades taken live, even those bad ones. Yeah. So yeah, and if you decide to become my patron, you will have access to all the goodies. Thanks a lot for today. See you tomorrow. Bye.